I want to share with you my first experience taking
Psilocybin.
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 And psilocybin are being...
Most people assume that science and spirituality don't play well together, but it's not true. Einstein said that the most beautiful and profound emotion we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. He said it's the source of all true science. Today I want to tell you about research with the classic psychedelic.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know you don't have to say anything. I know I suck at uploading, and I've actually procrastinated making this video for the longest time. But here I am, and I don't know why this topic is heavy to me, or it has been so hard to just press record and talk about this. But if you are a subscriber to the channel, my previous video is pretty abstract. It's just me just expressing how beautiful this is to me and how this thing has changed my life and accelerated my spiritual growth and my own personal development in so many ways and brought me to a higher consciousness. Today I want to share with you my first experience taking psilocybin mushrooms. To start somewhere, right? We got to start where psilocybin even came to my mind, right? And we are going to make this story short. I met this girl back in, I think, 2016, 2017, somewhere there. And she told me, this girl was a raver girl. Let's call her Anna. Anna said to me, Alex, I think that mushrooms would do amazing work to your mental because you are already so strong in your mental to begin with. And she, just explained that if you are in a bad place, mushrooms can take you even deeper. If you're not strong enough, it can take you through horrible places and such and such. But what stuck with me was that she told me, Alex, mushrooms would absolutely change your life. And fast forward the years, I continued to live my life, right? I thought about mushrooms on certain points. I made notes and some research about it, right? And somewhere in me, just to talk where I was at when it came to mushrooms, right, is that I was afraid. I was afraid because I've done so much research, and it was people talked about ego death and stuff like that, and that made me scared because what is ego death? I have done a lot of spiritual work now. I know what it is. I felt it. But back then, ego death, what the fuck is that? So I was scared, right? I was scared of what the mushrooms would do to me. So that was the phase I was in. But I continued to I was part of a community, doing my therapy. This community is called Rare Breed Academy. I can put a picture up here. It was driven by Trent Shelton. So I continued to live my life, right? But what phase I was in, I was scared, right? Okay, now fast forward to the year 2024, December 2024. And mind you, during this time, I have had notes on my computer and on my phone about psilocybin and what it does and, research that I've done, right? And this day, when I took psilocybin, I was away with a friend and his son, my godson. I'm a godfather to his son. We were at this playground somewhere playing, and I got this text message from a friend, right? And he told me, Alex, I got psilocybin mushrooms. And right away, when I read that text message, I felt fear. Fear combined with excitement. And yeah, that was the feeling. And on my way leaving the playground, I had this feeling inside of me, like, expectations, stuff like that. The feeling when you are about to take something for the first time, right? But I had huge respect. And if you see this, you should always do your research first and have huge respect for psilocybin mushrooms. It's not to be played around with. Okay, so I've left the playground. I was on my way home, and you know, me and my friend, we wanted to make this, the environment, the setting is important, right? So we were actually in this apartment where I live now at the moment, and we bought snacks. We, prepared the setting. We made sure that the whole house was done, everything like that, turned off anything that was unnecessary, so you can just take the psilocybin and relax, right? So what happened was we took, I think it was 2 or 3 grams each. We cut down the mushrooms into yogurt, and we started to eat it, right? So we had a cozy setting. The setting was cozy. We had each other, and my friend had taken psilocybin before. This was my first time. So that is an important factor for you too. If you are trying psilocybin, you've never taken it before, try to take it with someone. What is called a trip sitter, right? That is important because a lot can happen if you are not ready mentally for it. So have someone to do it with you for the first time, right? So we mashed it into yogurt, we ate it up, and we sat down in the sofa and, just listening to lo-fi music, just like good, nice music. And one important key factor here is that we took the psilocybin mushroom with the intention to show us something, to better ourselves, right? We set the intention before. Now let's talk about the first subtle experience when the mushroom starts to hit you, right? And we are lying there in the sofa and watching the TV with lo-fi music playing in the background. And lo-fi music, it was like a cartoonish, dreamy background. It was so cozy. The first sensations that you feel are that you feel like the lights are getting a little bit stronger and your focus is getting a bit stronger as well. Your senses heighten, right? And you can feel this, it's like you lucid dreaming, I would say, the first sensations, right? And you can feel like the room it's like wavy. I don't know how to explain it, but the lights are enhanced. You can feel the music getting a little bit louder, right? Even though we both know that nobody of us has touched the volume controller, but you hear the music a little bit, right? So that is the sensations when it starts to kick in a little bit, right? But what I want to say is when this happens, you feel a little bit worried. I had a sense in me. It's like life. You can talk about that reference. You don't know what is going to happen next. And you have expectations. You have read about certain things and, all the research I've done and people's, you start to get a little bit worried when you feel like your perception, your consciousness heightens, right? So you get a little bit worried. At one point, before the big peak, the takeoff, if you know what I'm talking about, when you start flying, right? I turn my head and I look at the kitchen. And mind you, at this point, right, you start sensing, like I've told you, you start sensing smell and such in a different way. And I somehow started to, I think I got paranoid, right? Paranoid, like, something is happening. Something hit me, some feeling, right? And I thought that my kitchen was like on fire because I felt the smell of a fire. So I asked my friend several times, like, is my stove off? Is everything turned off? And I went up from the couch and started looking at my kitchen, started to make sure like everything was okay. What is the smell coming from, this and that. And I want to tell you right now, this is why it's so important to have a trip sitter, right? Someone that calms you down in that situation. Because without my friend, I don't know what would have happened, because it was my first time, right? But after some time talking to my friend and you know, checking everything like 1,000 times, the kitchen wasn't on fire, right? So it was fine. It was fine. So I went back to the couch, and now the come up comes. I sit down in the couch, and if you have taken psilocybin, you can almost feel when the mushroom is going to take you, but you fight it. You fight it, and the more you fight it, the harder it gets. And I could feel myself like it was heavy thoughts in my mind, and you can feel your heart beating faster, and you get to a certain point where the mushroom forces you to surrender, right? And now we get to the peak part, right? The peak was just me surrendering, and it took me on a journey right away. When you close your eyes, you see these mathematical stuff and triangles, stuff like that. I'm really trying to remember the journey, but you see things. You are flying. I can post a little bit about some video here about how that can look, right? And you're floating, right? You're floating through, you see everything, and you're trying to process everything in your mind. It takes you on a journey, right? And it's so beautiful. Some key points here when it peaks, right? You can feel, it's this body sensation that you cannot explain. It feels like you are becoming one with everything. And mind you, me and my friend, we sat in the couch, right? And we had like our feet on the table, slightly touching each other, right? And I remember at one point, it felt like me and my friend, our feet were tree roots, right? We were growing into each other, man. And in my mind, even though I had my eyes closed, I could visually see us growing from the bottom. And I'm really trying to remember every vision that I have, but it was so beautiful. And it's hard to explain how beautiful the feeling is. But after some time like this, psilocybin trips, they last long. It's like 6-8 hours sometimes, man. So we had our own sessions, like closing our eyes, we saw all these visuals and feelings. Both of us cried. Like I could hear my friend cry, and I cried because it was so beautiful, right? But now, fast forward a little bit, I think it's like 2 or 3 hours into the journey, right? I have cried so much, like I had like, you know, so much shit in my eyes, you know. I had cried so much because it was so beautiful. And I opened my eyes. When I open my eyes, it even makes me emotional now. I can like start to cry when I think about it, right? When I open my eyes, it's like the music, you can see the waves of music moving from the screen. and I had this hoodie on, right? So I was like, I had it pulled down over my head, right? And when I opened my eyes, it was like I was in a little Pringles tube. The whole room was light up. The universe was holding me and my friend in its hands, right? And you look around you in the apartment, it feels like everything is melting, right? It was so beautiful. I can't explain it. You have probably experienced it. And remember, the mushroom shows you what you need to see. The journey isn't the same for everyone. So I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to just share my experience. Remember that. So even if I tell you this, you gotta understand that I've done a lot of mental work on myself beforehand, right? And I had huge respect and done a lot of research, right? Sorry to interrupt the story, but I really just want to say that. And yeah, it was beautiful. And at the same time, my friend opened up his eyes and we just looked at each other like, bro, what is happening? Life is so beautiful. It is magical. And me and my friend, we have similar states of mind, right? We are very grateful for life, and through any hardship, right? We often find our way back to the light, the main story, and we keep going, man, with love and light always. We trying to find our way, right? So when two people like him and me combine that and we take mushrooms together, the gratitude that you feel when you take psilocybin becomes even stronger, right? And what I want you to know is that psilocybin interacts with your serotonin receptors, right? Your feelings, right? So this is the most beautiful part, this what I'm about to end this story off with. We look at each other, right? And we just start naming stuff. My friend got kids, right? And I mentioned his kids, and we mentioned something beautiful, everything about the trees or what we have gone through life, right? And we just sit down and we cry and we cry in gratitude, man. Just hugging each other, dapping each other up, man, and just crying because life is so beautiful. And to be honest, we probably ended like, I think it was like 3 toilet rolls of paper because we cried so much. And that was my first experience with psilocybin. What I want to add to this is that during the journey, when you have your eyes closed, right? When you go through the journey, what you gain is a lot of insights about who you are and what we are, right? And you know, a lot of these insights I still work with today. And mind you, this is my first trip. I do not take psilocybin today, but I have done more trips. But it gives you a lot of insights. It can be dark ones too, very dark ones. You let me know if you want me to share some other trips. You can comment down below if you want to, but yeah, that was our trip, and it changed my life in such a big way, and it has accelerated my growth and my research in spirituality and my soul and stuff like that. What I want to say is, and end it off with, is if you can look at my trip, you can see that, for example, when I thought that my kitchen stove was on fire, that was showing me my need of control over certain things in life, right? And me fighting the mushroom is about surrendering to life, letting life take you, flow with life. This is just minor insights, right? But this is the story of my first time taking psilocybin. I'm not promoting anyone to take it. Do your research first and be sure that you are in a good headspace while taking it, if you're gonna take it. And I just want to say that it's more to life than the material things that we are so badly chasing, right? That is what I want to end off with. And stay safe, y'all. We are all one. And thinking about doing the next video about Amanita Muscaria or some other trip, you let me know. But feels good to make another video. I'm Alex. Thank you for watching. Peace.